People.
So listening, pay attention.
Oh, yeah. You're looking for capitals?
Can we think of any ways whereby we could accelerate that group within the context of a classroom?
Perhaps they would take, instead of just doing a different task or answering questions in a more analytical way, perhaps they would take more of a lead role in some of the activities. So perhaps if I was having mixed ability groupings within the mixed ability class, perhaps the gifted and talented pupils could take on a role at a higher level which demanded more of them.
Great. And I would also like to see that advanced group working separately on occasion and being put under pressure in several ways. One is to have a quite elaborate task to do that might involve them making a big sideways jump, getting up into that synthesising and speculative kind of framework, right. And see them evaluating each other's work in the course of doing that and see how much we can get out of them.
It's a month later, and John is returning to see if the two teachers are now pushing their more able students harder. He starts with Fiona.
Imagine you are being interviewed by the Macon Tribune, the newspaper.
Fiona has changed her approach, and she's put the more able students in a separate group. Whilst the majority work on questions to ask later in the lesson, the gifted and talented get into character.
You are all the different people in the community. You're very diverse. Imagine you've all been interviewed, and in the article, the journalist has written down quotes that you've said. You're going to write the quotes for your character, about 2, on the A3 paper in quite large writing with the pens provided. OK? And you've got 10 minutes.
Who are you?
That's good.
Well, you're obviously gutted. You just lost the court case. And you thought Tom was innocent.
What does it?
There's not really anything to say, is there?
You tried your best.
You tried your best because he doesn't say anything at the end of the case. He just walks away.
It demanded more thinking of them. I feel it really stretched them because it required them to sit down, think about their character and how their character could be represented in a small soundbite.
I never give an opinion, the whole book.
So they've done something that on the one hand has got some qualitative differences from what the rest of the form are doing. But the neat trick from my point of view, at least I was very impressed by it, is it's going to be a task that's complementary to what the rest of the class are doing.
Yeah.
Because at the end they're going to be united with the activity at the end.
Before that final activity, there's another task where the class moves around, so one of the more able students is in each mixed ability group.
In your groups, you will produce one full paragraph on their character and how their character acts during and after the court case.
Does she worry when the kids go missing though?
Yeah, she does. She goes to court, she stops the court case. She goes into court with a note and she hands it to Atticus, and they basically stop the case for a minute while Atticus tells Judge Taylor, oh, my kids are missing and I think I'm going to have to go.
Her position in the house here is to be a cook.
She's employed to be a cook.
But she cares about the kids more than
She cares about the kids.
There was a gifted and talented pupil in each of the groups, and they were taking a lead role.
She thought it was patronising her.
Rounding off the last sentence, please, Year 11.
With the use of words.
In that middle activity, if I'm verbal and social and imaginative, I'm going to like that a lot. So that group at the front desk got on with it really well.
Yeah.
I noticed one or two other trios or pairings were a bit slower. What's your feeling about that?
I think it's completely to do with the learning styles. In each lesson I try to provide a variety of activities to cater to these learning styles. So there will be times within a lesson where the activity does not demand a pupil's favourite learning style and therefore they won't succeed as well as the other kids. I do think that most of the groups worked well in terms of communication, and again that's something where I wanted to give the gifted and talented pupils more control. It was made clear to them that they were responsible for bringing the group together and for drawing information out of their peers.
All right. Can everyone please get their folders? Thank you very much. Okay. If you turn to your sheet with the clefs on it, you're going to need that out on the table for most of the lesson. This one right here with your clefs. Yeah, you need that out for the most of the lesson.
Daniel has also changed the way he teaches. He's spending more time on drilling and reinforcing the basics, so they're clear to the whole class. In this lesson, he's moved on from the waltz to the minuet.
So just out of interest, let's see whose brain is switched on. Let's assume we are in the key of C and we're using a C chord. Somebody tell us what the notes would be for that bass line. 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, if it was in C.
C, G, E, G, E, G.
Right. I've been trying to be a bit more harder on them. Like, remember we had that discussion about getting the folders out and so on and so forth. So instead of me walking around, it's like, look, the information's there. So I've been trying to make it more independent. This time you will not be choosing your groove. I have chosen specific chords for you to use today. So when you're working together and helping each other, you're not saying, well, what's your chord, what's your chord? You've all got the same chords, so you can help each other a bit more easier today. So I've given you a set chord sequence to use.
Daniel's been asking the students to work in pairs, so the talented ones can help the others to understand better what he's teaching.
Has this given you more time, more room to work with the talented students?
Yes and no. The thing I did make a point of doing was the better ones helping. So that did actually happen on 2 occasions, because it was mainly catching up and reinforcing because they had finished. Instead of going for the stretching option, I went for the helping option. So I just said, look, right, you know it, explain it to them, and we just kind of helped a few more people.
So that's one of the things they can do. They can cement their skills by getting hold of other people who haven't, and teaching it.
What's AO then? It's like this.
But John feels Daniel could be putting more pressure on the higher ability students and using them more effectively as a resource for the whole class.
So I need to do the more than first of all, put down on the sheet.
I sat down with one pupil, and it was getting towards the end of the lesson. They were a bit tired, but they were going through those figures, and I said, I bet if I play the chord bong, 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 you can't play all the different figures one after the other. And actually they could. Diddle, 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 diddle. And it made me think of that idea of challenges. Bet you can't do this.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, I done it!
I was very interested in those girls because they'd sort of cracked it. And they were so excited by the fact that they cracked it. They started yattering to each other and to people around them. And I thought, there could be one team going around explaining how you transpose a tune from one key to another.
Yeah.
There could be another team going around doing scale drills. They could either be going around and checking in their own right, or they could be reporting back to you about who's got it and who hasn't got it. And they could be talking to you about the expositions that they're giving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm happily would do that when I want use them to bring up the others for a little while without feeling that I should be pushing them more. I have no guilt for keeping them there for a little while to help the rest come up, and then I can show them some more other stages, you know what I mean? So I would gladly do that, actually.
Right, boys and girls, welcome to today's chat show. In front of us, we have managed to get together a diverse group of people from Make Home Society. We're going to ask them questions. These questions will allow us, by magic powers, to get into their inner thoughts.
Back in Fiona's class, it's time for the final activity, where her more able students are in the hot seat.
Mrs. Merriweather, why do you assume black people are bad?
I just think they're all sulky darkies, and I don't like talking to them. They just get on my nerves. I can't stand black people.
Mayella, what did you think about Atticus Finch questioning your father? He was very demanding and offensive, and I don't think he should have been calling me mum because he was mocking me, and there was no need for that.
Mayella, why is it you think Atticus was mocking you? Do you not think he was just being polite and respectful?
No, not really, because no one has shown me any respect in my life, so I wouldn't know what respect is.
Okay. There were two very separate groups in the lesson. We had the gifted and talented pupils and then the main class. However, I do strongly feel that the other pupils who weren't necessarily gifted and talented also enrich the gifted and talented by their own use of questioning. And I do think we need to use the pupils as a resource so they can learn from each other. Nathan, who's your question for?
Scout.
Okay, Scout.
Did you understand clearly what was going on in the interview, and did you receive help from anyone?
Thank you.
Yeah, I understood everything. I'm almost 9 years old, but I did have to ask Jem some stuff, but I still understood everything.
Okay, thank you. Pierre?
Tom Robinson, do you think the appeal will work out for you?
Not really. It might just be like the same thing again. It's racism.
And what are your thoughts towards Atticus at this stage in your life, Tom?
I'm very thankful that he tried his best, but we're destined to fail anyway, so.
In that hot seating activity at the end, that really brought everything to life, didn't it?
Yeah.
I felt a lot of them began to emote.
Yeah.
I began to feel the characters.
They were very enthusiastic.
Yes, there were a few lump-in-the-throat moments there, weren't there?
Do you really think Tom Robinson is innocent, or do you really think he's guilty and you're just defending him to get on the good side of the black people?
Ooh, interesting. Different interpretation there.
Nah, he's not guilty. He's not gay. Because knowing what's going on these days, you should...
You're obviously very upset about it, so let's wrap it up there. Well done to all of you. Little round of applause, please. Okay.
What have you learned from this? What's it changed about you as a teacher?
I was always very wary of withdrawing pupils. I do feel that mixed ability groupings give the best results. I still feel that, but I also think that within a lesson, separate activities can be designed, perhaps in a starter or a plenary, just to give the gifted and talented pupils the opportunity to work on their own together so that they can be stretched more without being held back.
Having watched two different teachers, John has found himself making similar suggestions. Think more strategically. Design activities so the more able students can work with the majority, and both groups can benefit each other.
What I've learned from this is that differentiation requires some structural work, doesn't it? It requires
definitely
the structure in the lesson design. Some of the tasks given out will be different. Some of the groupings will be different. And if that structure isn't in there, it's very difficult to differentiate.